Well, hello guys, and how y'all doing? And hey, it's happened again. Oh yeah. So I'm actually talking about something a little different today. I felt like it'd be interesting to do something just a little different, have dude, I've always talked about like shows that we always talk about stuff episode by episode. I've never really talked about shows that I watch in seasons or things that I watch outside. It's always been the 3 4ish shows, none of which we're talking about. And I wanted to talk about something a little different. So this is Close Enough, which is the new show by J.G. Quintel, who was also the creator of Regular Show. So, Regular Show was a show that I really liked. It was weird and absurdist, and it got into all these crazy adventures. It was really interesting and fun. I really liked Regular Show. And then it started to dip. Not really like storyline stuff where it started off as like this episodic show and then started focusing more and more on storylines and kind of fell apart. That never really happened, at least not as far as I got, because I've never seen the end of Regular Show. I watched it when it first came out, around the same time as like Adventure Time and whatnot. It was real fun and interesting. Good idea for a show, right? Good enough. Good idea. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. But then it started getting into Mordecai's romance, his stuff with... Not Bridget. The Red Bird. I don't remember her name. And their relationship kind of went nowheres, and there's a lot of points where that show kind of like dips a lot, and that was definitely one of them. And then I remember him dating a cloud after that, and that was okay, but a lot of people didn't like it. So eventually they decided, we're going to go back to our roots and we're going to do these more like wacky, crazy episodes. And yeah, it was fun. And I remember watching it sometime after episode 100. I know I saw at least up to episode 100 with the swans. I remember, or were they ducks? I think it was ducks fighting a swan. it was a fun show. It was a fun show, but I don't remember much after that. And I know, like, I remember the intern coming in and people thinking, oh, the intern's boring, make him more interesting. So they made the intern more interesting by, like, making him, like, a secret agent or something. And then people didn't like that either. And I do remember seeing an episode with like, the secret agent thing. Like, not after not watching the show for like a year or two and being like, wait, what happened? When was the intern a secret agent? What? I was lost, so eventually I just gave up on the show. And then it ended, and much like Adventure Time when that ended, I really wanted to go back and watch it and see how it ended, but I never did. Nah, unlike Adventure Time where I was like, yeah, I want to know how this ends. So I binged 100 episodes of Adventure Time in like 2 weeks. Yeah, and I think it was exactly 100 episodes. I couldn't be bothered to go back and watch however many episodes of Regular Show there were. I maybe should at one point. I should probably get around to doing that. But for the moment, whatever. Now, this Close Enough, shortly after Regular Show ended, back in 2017, I remember seeing a trailer for this show. I remember the first trailer coming out at like Comic-Con or one of those, and I remember it circulating around, and I was like, hey, sure, I'll check out something new from him. It was originally slated for TBS, I think, and it was supposed to be like a more adult Regular Show that was willing to get more into adult themes and adult ideas. And yeah, I was interested. I was definitely interested. And then 2017 passed and nothing happened. Okay, 2018, that'll be fine. 2018 passed, nothing happened. We did get I think we might have gotten another trailer at some point, because if you go back and watch, I want to say the 2017 trailer, one of the early trailers, it looks like a completely different show. I mean, I think, and that comes in two forms. In one, I think the art style is just better. Like, it's more, in the final product, the art style is more refined. It's not too much different. Like, it still kind of looks like Regular Show. There's no, like, talking animals or anything. Okay, well, that's a lie. There's a talking dog and a few other crazy things happen along the way. But it's a little bit more down to earth than Regular Show. And that's kind of what it looked like from the trailer. but it's even more, and now that it's officially out, if you go back and watch the original trailer, it looks even more subdued. Like the final verdict is even more subdued than what it looked like, which originally just looked like an adult regular show. But yeah, it didn't come out in 2018. It didn't come out in 2019. And then finally, it ended up here just last month on HBO Max, because HBO Max launched and they needed all sorts of new shows. And yeah, this was one of them. And when I saw it come out, I was like, oh, that seems like fun. I'll get around to it. And then it took me about a month. But hey, I watched about half of it. And I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty good. This is pretty fun. I watched like the first like 4 or 5 episodes. And then to finish the other 3, it took me like another like 2 weeks until I got around to it. But yeah, no, I honestly enjoyed the show. I think it's pretty fun. It's a lot more subdued than regular show. I will say that. Like if you're like, yes, some crazy wacky things do happen. But nothing is ever as crazy or as wacky as regular show. Because well, this show it's basically like an adult regular show. It's a show about adults. When we think adult animation, you think Family Guy and all of its legion of imitators, all the other Seth MacFarlane shows that are all garbage. Don't get me wrong, I liked Family Guy back in the day, but after like 3 or 4 seasons, nope, I was done with it. I liked American Dad for a little longer. I did think American Dad was pretty good. Even as it got up into the seasons, I thought American Dad was still maybe not good, but it was fine. Overall, it was a very fine show that kind of carried its tone through. It never got as good as Family Guy did in like those first 2 seasons, but it also never got as low as Family Guy did, which I mean, Family Guy's still airing, so ugh. Or we think of a bunch of those other shitty adult shows, Brickleberry, Alan Gregory, F is for Family. Okay, I've never seen F is for Family, I'll admit that. I do like Bill Burr. Like, I listen to his podcast every once in a while, but I've never actually seen F is for Family. But Bill Burr's pretty funny. I recommend the Sherry Berries bit. Look up Bill Burr Sherry's Berries. It is so funny. But that's just me. That's just me. But yeah, and one of the problems with adult animation is just how boring and samey it is. Like, it's shows that are adult, but yet they're childish in how they tackle adult issues. They feel like shows that like, oh, right, like The Simpsons was adult, but it was clever in that, at least in the first like 8 seasons. But a lot of the Family Guy imitators and Family Guy itself have been like, oh, we're going to talk about, like, we're going to make dick jokes because we're an adult show, but it's never about like the adult issues that come with that, right? It's adult in that it uses mature language, but it's not actually like for adults. Like, it's childish in the way it talks about things. And this show, yes, it can be childish and whatnot. I actually do like this show because it tackles those more adult issues. It feels like an adult show about adults, and that's kind of cool, actually. There are episodes that deal with all sorts of things in here, like taking your kid to school. There's one about being the room parent, which is in charge of like fundraising for the school. There's one about raising your kid, like thinking back to your college days and like all the things you messed up on, rekindling your love life, right? Stuff like that. It tackles more adult issues. And like some of it, I think some of it's funny, but there's also like a part of me that thinks like maybe in like 10, 20 years, I'll relate to this show more once I have a kid, hopefully. Maybe. We'll see. I mean, with this economy, who knows? Oh. But I do think this show is a little bit more adult than other shows can be. It tackles more adult issues. There's an episode about getting a vasectomy in it. And yes, it is still regular show. They do go into crazy and wacky places. He goes to get a vasectomy, but there's an entire subplot about how there's vasectomy robots that are evil, or there's a thing with like living mannequins at one point where one of the other girls has to go get a job. And at the one with the room parent where he has to do fundraising for the school, it turns he's co-room parenting with another mom, and it turns out the mom doesn't have a kid, and instead she's just stealing money from the room parent, and it goes off into these wacky, crazy adventures. A video game comes to life. That happened in regular show. Yes, it never goes as crazy as regular show, because regular show went into some crazy shit. And this one's a lot more subdued, but I still think it's funny. It uses the humor of a show like regular show, tones it down a little bit, but makes it more approachable. Like if you watch regular show and are like, this is fucking weird, then this might be for you, because it definitely it's still fucking weird, but it definitely tones it down a lot more, because it's about a parents raising a kid. They live with a divorcee, with two divorcees who broke up, and they're what, like 26? And there's a bunch of other people that they run into, they go on wacky adventures with. The main guy is a game developer, I think, who's like inspiring to make VR games, and like that's what he wants to do, but he's stuck working at Best Buy. The girl works for, I want to say it's canned food. And the daughter's in preschool, and they have to, and they're sending her to like a very liberal preschool, and they have to deal with the hippie teacher and all the things that come with that. It's just funny. And the roommates go on wacky adventures. There's entire bits about just being too old to do anything. Like there's an entire thing where they do it's called Logan's Run, where where the four of them go to a nightclub, and then they find out that anyone over the age of 30 it gets killed at the nightclub because they're doing Logan's Run, and how maybe they're too old to party, but is that a bad thing? And it's just about growing up and not being part of your youth anymore and having a kid. And again, stuff that I cannot really relate to because I talk about cartoons for a living. So who knows? There's one episode. It's 100% no stress day, which is right about dealing with the mother, Emily, is dealing with stress. And so Josh, the guy who played by J.G. Quintel, and it's the same voice as he voiced Mordecai. It sounds exactly the same. He doesn't, if you're used to Mordecai, yep, it's Mordecai, all right. It's the same. I mean, the character is not exactly the same, but the voice is. So yeah, get used to that. But him and the other roommate take the kid, and they go on these crazy adventures. They have to go get a ham, but there's these clowns. And fuck me, the joke. Again, this is where the show can be adult, right? Like this is like Cartoon Network is technically in the credits of this, but this could never air on Cartoon Network. There's a joke with these fucking clowns. I'm not going to give it away. Go watch the 3rd episode, 100% no stress day. It's fucking great. Seriously, it had me in tears. Fuck, it's funny. And no, oh my God. I'm building it up way too much. But fuck me, is it fantastic. And it's adult. It's an adult joke that you could never get away with on regular show. Also, I'm really glad Emily and Josh, the husband and wife, never get into a big fight. They have arguments here and there, but they never have like a big shouting, screaming fight about any of it. In fact, they're on the same page more often than they aren't. And I really like that. It's a good depiction of a marriage. Like, we're so used to the post-Simpsons marriage, where the husband and wife hate each other. You know, the boomer marriage, about the boomer husband who hates his wife. We all know this. This has been played out in The Simpsons for, God, over 30 years now. Fuck. And but no, in this they're a perfectly healthy couple. They have problems, but they're able to get over it. Right? It's more in a crazy wacky show with a talking dog. It tracks. It all tracks pretty well, and I do like this. While adult animation suffers a lot nowadays, and everything's trying to be Family Guy, this is one of the better ones. This truly is one of the better ones. The animation, well, I know people are sick of the animation style. We bitch on what, CalArts or whatever the fuck. I don't give a shit. The animation's better than Family Guy or like any of those Flash shows, I can tell you that. They're more interesting, more expressive. It's regular. It's done by the people who did regular shows. So it gets into some of that wacky craziness, and they do play with the visuals of it. It's well done. It's a pretty good show. It's a short, quick show. You could totally knock it out in a day, but I'm just lazy. And it's all up on HBO Max. And yeah, would I buy HBO Max for the show? No, but I already. Instead, I bought HBO Max for Watchmen, but that's a whole different story. I enjoyed it. I did enjoy this. I think it's a pretty good show, and I'd be interested to see a second season. Them go on their wacky, crazy adventures, like the people that live next door who own the house. They only show up like once or twice, and I think there's some potential there for them, but like they didn't really explore it, and part of me doesn't think they need to. So like there's still room for them to do more stuff in this show. If they really wanted to, they can do more stuff. There's always regular show did tons of crazy shit adventures, and as a family growing up in LA, there's tons of wacky crazy adventures. As adult animation goes, I recommend it before like 90% of other things. Let's not include like early South Park or early Simpsons, of like stuff that's airing in the modern day. This is sadly the best we're gonna get, because everything just tries to be Family Guy, and it fucking sucks, and most of those shows suck. But this one's good, and I would love for more things to take influence from this. Yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Until next time, peace. I'm saying fuck a lot.